Morning, I hope you're all well. Today I wanted to talk to you about a really interesting event that I went to last week that involved one of the biggest insurance companies here in the UK and a number of really interesting people that I never really expected to meet. So grab yourself a coffee, make yourselves comfortable, and perhaps a couple of chunks of the chocolate left over from Easter. Now's a good time to use that up. Let's talk today about the future of insurance. So what's this event all about? Well, I received an invite a month or so ago from a company called LV, used to be Liverpool Victoria. They're one of the biggest insurance companies here in the UK. They cover all sorts of things, including car insurance. And one of the things that's happened lately is they've introduced a specific EV-only insurance. Now, I was invited along to this event with a few questions and a few things that they wanted to go over. And obviously based on that, I had a few questions of my own. But I had no idea what to expect. As it turned out, it was quite an intimate event. There was only a few of us there. The majority were LV employees. And when I say employees, I mean some of their high-level management were there. They were obviously taking it very, very seriously. Also present, there was people like somebody from ZapMap, there's people from the OLEV, part of the government. There was somebody from one of the universities that is looking at cities of the future and how they're going to evolve. There was a couple of journalists. There was me, and there was Dan and Bobby Llewellyn from Fully Charged. So we expected LV to want to talk about this new product they've launched, and I was a little bit on edge thinking, well, perhaps this is just a sales pitch and they're hoping that we all go away and we all rave about their new product, something that, well, before I went, I was quite adamant I wasn't going to do, because we all love to hate insurance, don't we? But very quickly it became clear that this wasn't an event about them trying to sell their insurance product via us. It was very much about them talking about what they found out about the electric vehicle market and the type of people that buy them and potential customers, and how they want to develop that in the future. So what I wanted to do first of all was just go through some of the comments that I picked up on from various people during the night, and some of the answers I heard and the discussions that went on, because I thought it would be quite interesting to share with you. One of the big things that I was really interested in, and a few people asked me on Twitter to ask before I went, was around self-driving cars and or autonomous cars and how that's going to affect the insurance in the future. Because from my point of view, and you seem to feel the same, we're getting all these extra features, these extra safety features on our cars now. So whether it's lane assist on some of the lower end cars, right up to the full autopilot we're looking at going to on some of the Teslas, and then how that evolves in the future. To my mind, that should make our insurance cheaper because the cars are safer. But when I spoke to certainly some of the LV staff, and in particular one of the members of staff there was was the head of claims. He pointed out that yes, absolutely, it does make the car safer. First of all, when it's being used, it doesn't count obviously when it's not being used because you're still in control of the car. But secondly, he pointed out that as a result of those features, there's obviously a lot more technology and a lot more hardware in the cars, right down to some of them, just some of the ways the headlights are designed to make that technology work. And subsequently, if that gets broken, it's not just a little bit more expensive, it could be 10 times, it could be even more than that, more expensive than its normal equivalent that we would find on a normal car. So very much the point was, okay, it probably won't increase your insurance too much, but it's certainly not going to reduce it because it's safer, because at the end of the day, we're not always in autopilot or using these safety features. And when it does go wrong, it costs an awful lot more to fix it. And that kind of made sense to me. But that's not to say in the future, if this full autopilot, whereby you practically don't have to touch it, steer it, drive it, do anything, comes into effect, well, possibly those prices will come down then. But I guess we still have to account for other people on the road that aren't using those features. So yeah, maybe a little bit more complicated than I had given them credit for in the first instance, but that was the answer that I got. And another reason that the costs of repair remain high at the moment is because of the fact there's so few garages that can actually work properly on electric vehicles. Now, of course, they can do the brakes and the bits and pieces that are transferable skills. But when you talk about tapping into or using or doing anything around that power source, well, you need some special training and you need to be certified to do it. And there's very few independent garages at the moment that are training their staff correctly to do that. So without the correct certification in place, then the insurance companies cannot use them, rightly so. So they're relying on main dealers. And as we all know, not all main dealers particularly want to work on electric vehicles. So the pool of garages that are available to them to repair electric vehicles, especially when it's something more serious and just the run-of-the-mill dented panel, it's very limited to them. So they're not able to turn these things around quickly, and they find they're paying a premium in order to have the electric vehicles fixed. So that all adds to the overall cost of the package, which, again, looking to the future, they're looking to invest and they're looking to encourage these independent garages to take these certifications to allow them to work on the electric vehicles, so their pool of garages becomes that much bigger, and the cost of repairs are then that much cheaper. And hand in hand with the lack of garages available to repair these cars, they're struggling with some of the brand new technology that's coming with the cars. And I'm not just talking about the hardware and software in the cars. Something simple like the e-tron, the new e-tron that's just been released. They've already had experience of one being crashed. It's gone to be repaired. Now they've found that the body panels, there's a special glue that's used to glue these body panels on. Something new to me. That glue hasn't been certified for use here in the UK yet. So they're not allowed to use that glue to put the body panel back on. So they can't repair the car at the moment, and they're obviously looking at a fix and working around that. But because this technology is moving so quickly, they are being forced to move quickly also. And I guess, as we all are, they are learning as they go along. One of the other issues that lots of people on Twitter contacted me about before I went there was for young people, young drivers, because of course we all want our children, as they grow up and they learn to drive, to get into an EV, because it makes sense in so many ways. Insurance premiums are horrendous for young people. They're sky high. And with all this technology in these electric vehicles, isn't there a way that we're able to limit the power that they have, that they can use, to make it safer, to make the insurance premiums less? I had that discussion with one of the employees, and it's not something they're going to do. But what they are doing is they still have this black box system that they have with all the other vehicles and insuring young people that they offer. So black box plugs into the car. That brings together the telematics of how the car is being driven, whether it's speed, G-forces, time of night. So it looks at all those risk factors. That's sent back to the company. And as a result, they're able to adjust the premium accordingly. As for limiting how fast the car can go, or its 0 to 60 time, that's not something they're going to be doing. So I guess it's now still remains on the driver of the car, no matter what their age, if you've got one of these black boxes installed, to drive it sensibly, because that's how you're going to drop your insurance premium. So I thought that was something that might be a simple fix. You might be able to do that, but they weren't able to tell me the reason why they wouldn't do it. They just said it's not something they're going to do. So there's the answer for anybody who asked. And the final really interesting comment that I heard during the course of the night, when they're talking about risk factors, in the first 2 weeks of ownership of a Tesla, the chances of somebody having an accident is so much higher than in any other vehicle. And they're specifically talking about Tesla with ludicrous mode. And it looks like it's all around people just having fun playing in these cars, driving them far too fast and far too recklessly, and they see a massive spike in insurance claims for first-time Tesla owners in the first 2 weeks of ownership. So there's something for you to consider, especially if you're looking at maybe one of these new Model 3. But yeah, just take it easy. Don't go being one of their statistics. So that's kind of the feel of what was going on. It was very much a chatty, upbeat room of people wanting to talk about EVs and also wanting to talk about the future. Since then, I've managed to get hold of some of the research they did specifically for when they were putting this package together. Now, this isn't about what their package offers. What I found is there were 10 things that they have said were the top answers, the most interesting comments that people have made when they were asked about why they haven't bought an electric vehicle up till now, what their worries and concerns are. Now, I'm not going to go through all 10, I'm going to pick out a couple of the interesting ones. So 55% of all people asked said they wouldn't buy an electric vehicle because they aren't as powerful as a petrol or diesel car. Well, clearly that's not the case, as we all know, but 55%, I found that a really high and quite an interesting figure. 25% of people think electric vehicles are more expensive to run. We're not talking about buying them, just purely to run them. A massive 40% of people were completely unaware of the initiatives and the incentives on offer when you're buying the vehicle. So here in the UK, £3,500 government grant. 40% of people weren't even aware of that. And that doesn't even go into the incentives available for the chargers and different bits and pieces at home. And here's the biggest one. 70% of people were unaware that ICE, internal combustion engine vehicles, would be banned by 2040. And we're already looking at that figure or that date coming forward a little bit. So 70% of people in the UK didn't even know about the vehicles being banned. So if you don't know that petrol and diesel vehicles are going to be banned, why would you potentially look at electric vehicles if you're happy with what you got? As we sit at the moment, people like me and people on Twitter and people that are involved, whether you have an electric vehicle or you're interested in it, it's very easy for us to forget that that is what the general population feel and think. They have no idea about the costs or what's coming in the future. So I feel we need to just keep talking about it, keep putting those issues out there and dispelling these myths and rumours. So we need people like LV to do these things, to put the publicity out there and talk about their product and about these findings and dispel these myths. And we need to keep doing it as well. So yeah, there you go. A really interesting evening in London for me. It was very busy. I rushed up on the train and rushed back and had about 3 hours sleep before I had to go to work again the next morning. But it was worth it. I met some brilliant people and I'm hoping on the back of it, there might be a couple of really interesting interviews coming, whether it's with people from LV or elsewhere, just looking at the future and looking what is going to happen around electric vehicles. So yeah, some interesting chats I had there that I'm hoping that we'll be able to share with you in the future. But that's it for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. That's filled you in on what's been going on. If you have, remember to like and share. If you're not doing so already, subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at EVOpinion. And until next time, you have a brilliant week. Enjoy what's left of your coffee and your chocolate, and I will see you very soon. Cheers.